there's something really interesting that I realized about Android 17's role in the Tournament of Power. And by figuring this out, I was able to see just how long number 17 is going to last before he gets eliminated. For real eliminated. Actually, that was the scene that opened my eyes to what his purpose is in this battle to survive Zenosama. You see, from the moment Goku fought number 17 while trying to recruit him for the Tournament of Power, it was pretty obvious that he would outlive his sister in this thing. So maybe you were like me when Aniraza pushed him off the stage, left thinking to yourself, somebody please tell me how this is supposed to help Universe 7 more than 17, but he got a second chance. While we were all grateful they didn't completely forget about the power scaling in that moment, Android 17 not getting eliminated just yet was part of a larger overall plan for him. Something that fully answers two questions you have about him. Exactly what is Android 17's purpose on Universe 7's team? And the even bigger question, when will that purpose run out? It's kinda surprising, but they've been showing us these answers for a while now. I know you're probably thinking, here she goes again, reaching for stuff that isn't there. But if you really look at all three of his major fights during the Tournament of Power, I promise you will easily see the answer. After all, you are in the smartest anime family on YouTube. The most recent example that I can give to the anime is this. Really, that was the ultimate example of number 17's purpose in the Tournament of Power. Suddenly it all started to make sense. There was more to this fight than just giving number 17 a moment in the spotlight. I found that there was something pulling all of his Tournament of Power fights together. This one similarity is the only thing that will tell you what the larger overall plan for Android 17 is. This is the one thing that will show you his role in this arc, plus how much longer that role will still be needed. So let's talk about what I noticed in each of his major Tournament of Power battles, so we can get you an answer to those burning questions. If you don't remember who number 17 fought first in this arc, then don't feel bad. It wasn't that memorable of a fight. Before realizing what number 17's purpose was for the arc we're in, this battle just seemed pointless. They had already made it obvious that number 17 could handle a lot of power, so why match him up with this fighter? Her power wasn't at all comparable to Goku's. But the thing is, making this a weaker battle was done on purpose. This was how they hid the fact that they were actually giving away something that would eventually tell you how much longer Android 17 has left on the Omni King's tournament stage. That way, the answer wouldn't be so obvious when they gave it to you in plain sight. But once your eyes are open to the role that number 17 has been playing here, your eyes will also be open to what the point was of his first, almost useless, battle. And the best part is that you don't have to reach for nothing to see it. It was as simple of an idea as this. They were secretly giving you an introduction to the answer of what his purpose would be during the tournament. With that information, do you see what was connecting this opponent to Android 17? It's okay if you don't see it yet. Like I said, they did a good job of hiding the answer inside this Universe 2 fighter's transformation. Here's a hint for you though. Notice the major difference between the new form of Android 17's opponent and the new forms of her two teammates. Do you see it? If not yet, you will soon, because you're in the AniFam. But to help you have a better understanding of number 17's role, and how long that role will last in the Tournament of Power, they eventually gave us another example. Android 17's second fight was technically against the rest of the Universe 2 team. This was another great way that they tried to hide his role from us. They had to do this, because otherwise, the answer would be too easy to find. Did you notice that I said I found the answer by looking at his major battles? This second fight is exactly why I said that. Android 17's fights during Dragon Ball Super Episode 117 through 118 were there for two reasons only, and those two reasons are hidden in the differences between these fights and his first one that we just went over. The first reason was to help Goku. He wasn't really fighting these people just to simply eliminate them. He was fighting them because they were attacking a teammate. That's the big difference between these fights and the one before them. These fights weren't highlighting Android 17. They were more to showcase Android 18 and Goku, and that's why you can't include the fights during those two episodes when trying to figure out how much longer Android 17 has left in the Tournament of Power. If you did, you would fall into the creator's trap of never figuring out his role. But the AniFam isn't about to fall for that. This means you have to look at what his second major fight was in order to find the next piece of the answer. Just like in the battles before this one that were pointless to number 17's character, he was once again fighting together with his teammates. He was still protecting Goku at this point, and that made it seem like this would also be a pointless battle for him. But here's what made this a major fight for Android 17. A fight that gave away a piece of the answer you've been looking for. While the rest of his teammates were wasting their energy, punching and kicking nothing but the air, Android 17 was saving the day. He did the smartest thing he could in a situation like that. He closed his eyes. There was no point in trying to find an invisible enemy through the sense of sight, and by taking away that sense, Android 17 was able to heighten his other senses. That's when he found the reason to why no one else on Universe 7's team was able to hit anything when they punched. But more importantly, he showed you another piece of his role in the Tournament of Power. Android 17 was the only person who had the idea to fight an invisible fighter with senses other than sight. That means that without him, they wouldn't have won this battle with at least one other Universe 7 elimination. His help was valuable, but the reason why it was valuable is what you need to be paying attention to. Look at the similarities between number 17's first major opponent and his second major opponent. Are you starting to see why Android 17 has truly been needed for Universe 7's success in the Omni Kings tournament? This is also making it clear as to how much time is remaining for his value in the 9 minutes remaining. But if you're not completely sure yet, then this next example will definitely help you see the connection between Android 17's opponents, because his third major tournament fight was with an opponent who shared the same similarity with the first two. This awesome win for Android 17 gave us a better answer as to why he was saved from getting eliminated, because the first answer we got from Android 18 switching places with her brother was way too obvious. Number 17 is simply stronger than his sister. It only makes sense for the weaker fighters to be eliminated before the stronger ones, but that alone would never give away how much time Android 17 actually has left in this fight for survival. And that's exactly why the creators had 17 get pushed off the stage in the first place. They wanted to give you another excuse for him still being in the Tournament of Power. This way you wouldn't be able to figure out his real purpose for being there at all. But the Anifam is smart enough to find the real answer through these excuses. Android 17's fight against Aniraza was very similar to his fight right before it with the Universe 4 bug, because he was still working with his teammates, but he had his own moment to shine. This was the second time that they made it obvious to you that number 17's help was extremely valuable to Universe 7. If 18 had never taken the fall for her brother, Universe 7 would be in a lot worse of a situation with the 9 minutes they have left to win Zeno-sama's Battle Royale. No one other than number 17 would have been able to figure out Aniraza's powers. Once the Universe 7 fighters decided that they needed to work together to beat this giant monster, they surrounded it and attacked it all at once. But to everyone's surprise, Aniraza was able to push off every single one of them. But I wonder if you noticed this right here. That was really quick, so let's play it again, but slower this time. I guarantee they didn't close in on Android 17's shocked face, but no one else's, for no reason. So let me explain to you what that reason was. As soon as the Universe 7 team regrouped, they instantly tried to figure out how this monster was able to read all of their movements at once. Goku questioned if Aniraza was reading their energies super fast, but Android 17 had already figured it out. In the scene I just showed you, number 17 saw the orb on Aniraza's ear flash just before he blocked all of their attacks. He explained to them that there was no way Aniraza was reading their energies, because both him and number 18 didn't have energy the same as them. But thankfully, he already knew what was really going on. The answer he gave to them also gave you the answer to what his purpose has been this entire time in the Tournament of Power. And it will also tell you how much longer his valuable help will be needed before he gets eliminated. Those orbs were allowing Aniraza to use ultrasonic waves, like a bat or dolphin would, to sense the movement around him. Now do you see it? That statement told you the similarity between all three of Android 17's major opponents during the Tournament of Power, as well as his purpose on Universe 7's team, and how much longer he's got until he's also sitting on the sidelines. His first opponent had a different form like the two other women on our team, but unlike them, her form changed into a beast warrior. With a fighting style of a wild animal, Android 17 was able to predict her movements easily. Then later, the reason he was the only one to find the bug from Universe 4 was just just that. He was a bug. Everyone was trying to hit a full-size, invisible person. But Android 17 knew exactly how to find what no one was expecting, a tiny bug. And then with Aniraza, he instantly picked up on something that he'd noticed before with other types of animals. Did you forget Android 17 is a ranger? The reason he's been so valuable is because all his major fights were with opponents who had at least some type of animalistic trait that only he would have had the chance to figure out. But I'm sure you're wondering how that tells when he will be eliminated. The answer is simple. Look at Universe 11's remaining opponents. The only one that has anything animalistic about him is Dispo, but that's simply his looks. His powers aren't really animal-based, and with no one else with powers based from animals, Android 17's value has already ended, and that's why he'll be the next to be eliminated, but not before he goes through one last intense battle. It's just been confirmed that he'll be fighting with Gohan in Dragon Ball Super Episode 123. Gohan will struggle with his own powers. This one thing keeps weighing heavily on his mind. He was the one guilty for the erasing of the man who left behind the locket, someone like himself with a wife and child back home. But as Gohan finds his way to figuring out where to draw the line between right and wrong, he'll also find